Hey everyone, Derek here, and I have something a little familiar but also a little different. For old fans of GameXplain, one of the first things I tried when I first started this was something called Backlog Reviews, where I would play some of my old games, and then once I finish it, just do basically a kind of vlog on it, but I'd have footage going and whatnot, because you don't want to look at my ugly mug. And basically talk about my experiences with the game, and it never proved to be that popular. And it just became much more apparent that more GameXplain type stuff needed to be done. But with my own channel where I post all the replays of Sunday night streams and stuff, it's a little bit more personalized, and I feel like, you know what, I want to do this again. I want to get my thoughts out there. So with that said, one of the things I decided to do recently is play Dragon Warrior. When I went to too many games with Some Call Me Johnny, just for a day, I looked around and I saw it lives up to its name. There is too many games. There is so many to look around and find. And one of the ones I found was the original Dragon Warrior and Dragon Warrior 2. Now, I've seen Dragon Warrior around a couple times, but I've always heard people say it's so grind heavy and there's so much involved with it. But as I was talking to fans and other people I met around there, people kept just bringing up Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior, about how great the games were. And it sort of made me think, like, you know what? I'm going to try this out. I'm going to actually get it. So I picked up Dragon Warrior and Dragon Warrior 2 for a pretty good deal. Got them both for about $30. And I just played through Dragon Warrior. And I gotta say, I totally get why this game became such a phenomenon in Japan. It is completely old school. It is so old school. I mean, you have to have the exact right set of mind going back to play this. You're not going to be able to just go, oh, check this out, it'll be fun, it'll be a lark. No, you have to know what you're getting into with this. Now, one of the things I like to do, of course, is go over basically aspects of the thing: story, gameplay, graphics, and music. It's always just how I've handled review type stuff. Now, story is about as simple as you can get. Of course it is. It's one of the first RPGs. It basically is the forebearer on all RPGs on the NES and going forward, and, turn-based ones, basically JRPGs. And the plot is very simple because of that. Basically, you are the supposed descendant of a legendary hero called Erdrick, and the king of this land is basically pleading with you to stop the Dragon Lord, who has unleashed all of his minions across the land and is terrorizing people. People are getting killed, and his daughter, the princess, of course, has been kidnapped. Now, an interesting thing about the whole kidnapped princess thing is you can completely miss her if you choose to do so. Now, she is very important for one aspect, but she's not being held by the Dragon Lord himself. Just a regular green dragon that you can stumble across and fight and eventually rescue her. And I found that really intriguing. Like, okay, she isn't the prize at the end. Not quite. She is the one that you can find and help, she'll help you out with one specific quest. And I found that, I don't know, kind of refreshing. I thought it was really cool how they, yeah, she's kidnapped, but she's not what the Dragon Lord was after. He's basically just screwing with the king and all the people. And the story is, of course, nothing major, but there is an interesting choice at the very end when you finally confront the Dragon Lord. And he basically is like, rule by my side, or, face the consequences, rule half this kingdom for me, with me. And you can, of course, say yes and rule it, and you get a bad ending, but it's something different. But of course, then you can fight him, and he is quite difficult. But once you defeat him, there's this awesome moment afterwards where the game doesn't just end. Instead, you walk all the way back to the main castle, or you can teleport there. There's a spell for it, which is what I did because, yeah. And you can talk to people, but unfortunately, what I was really hoping for is everybody's dialogue changed, and you can see how people went through. I checked around a little bit. It's like, oh, do I get if I want to, can I get little epilogues for all these different characters I met? Well, really NPCs. And no, everybody just says, go talk to the king. So you walk up to the king, and he's waiting there for you, and you get, congratulations, thank you for saving the kingdom. will you rule it in my stead because you are just that great? And basically your character says, thank you, but I must find a kingdom to rule on my own thing. In the meantime, when you rescue the princess, she falls head over heels for you. I mean, she is just completely enraptured by you, and she requests to go along with you. And you can say no, and she is like, ooh, girls are icky, and leave her away. Or you can say yes, and you two go off to have a happy life ever after and try to found this new kingdom. And I don't know, it's something about, it's simple, it's not complex at all, but I don't know, there's charm in that, and I can't argue with that kind of charm. So from a story perspective, yeah, if you know what you're getting into, you can have a lot of fun. You can get all these little characters, and each have their own personality to them. Of course, they keep the Dragon Quest aspect of like talking in old English and all that stuff. So, that's pretty cool. But the thing that actually shocked me the most about all of this, about as far as story goes, is the translation is so good. There are no, I never noticed any type of error. Every hint that you got made sense, and you can pretty easily travel through this game without using a guide. Now, I picked up a guide here and there to just get some specifics, and because there's no way to look at a world map. I really wanted a world map in there, but you could not look at it all. So I was mainly using a guide for that sort of thing, so I could see the maps and stuff. And it was great. I really enjoyed it from that kind of perspective. The problem comes into the gameplay, where, again, you have to go into this thinking old school. If you're thinking you're going to have any type of modern RPG, no. You're by yourself, there's no party, and as you level up, you get spells and stuff to help you along. For the first system, it works. The little monster design comes up, you fight the monster, you get experience, and you move on. The problem is that it is incredibly grind focused. Unlike other RPGs, later RPGs, where you naturally level up as you travel this world, there really isn't much to see or do. You can actually reach these different towns and stuff relatively easily. The difficulty comes in fighting the monsters along the way. And if you don't fight them, then you're going to have a lot of trouble as you go along. You really come to these points where you just have to stop, and it's usually right around a town, and just grind over and over and over again so you can get levels. And the levels take quite a while to get up. They come out, of course they start out pretty consistently at first, but as you get farther on, the experience that you're getting is just not that much. And you have to basically accept that. If you cannot get over grinding in a game, this is not for you. You will not like Dragon Warrior at all. And really, it's more of a sort of the enjoyment to me comes from just experiencing how it all started and seeing where things came from. And that's, yeah, there's a lot of grinding. The fact is, there's very few dungeons, and the dungeons themselves are very, very simple. You just get torches or radiant. You can use this radiant spell so you can see around a bit more. Explore the dungeon, find the path that you're supposed to go, and continue. It's some trial and error here and there, but nothing that's outright devious or anything like that. There's no puzzles or anything of that matter. The main gameplay comes to going to each village, talking to them, getting clues on what you need to do, and then slowly working your way towards the Dragon Lord's castle. Because this entire game takes place on a single continent, just split up into smaller areas that are crossed by bridges. Cross a bridge and the enemies get stronger and you have to grind more, basically. And, there's some interesting puzzles there where you got to figure out where to go. And the other core thing about this is the way the menu is handled, because you have a sort of command menu that pops up on the map, not even just in battle, where you can talk to people, you can access your magic, you can look at your status to see all how powerful you are. But then there's also those are pretty standard stuff. But then there's also the fact that you have to select going upstairs or downstairs. You have to select using the door that are locked behind keys. You can search the ground under you, which comes into play with a lot of the puzzles. And again, it's old school. It's basically like those text adventure type things or adventure game where you have to select your command and look around and explore. Now, it doesn't come up that much. Really, the game's all about the fights. And as far as the fights go, they're fun. They're simple. I'm basically whacking at them the entire time, and you see your strength go up over time. The thing I did not enjoy about the gameplay, though, is how random your attacks felt. You could be at a certain strength, and then you could hit something and you're like, yes, I made another level, I'm much stronger, and you're doing the exact same damage you were doing before. Only on occasion will you hit them for a more consistently higher damage level. And that sort of negates how powerful you feel. Now, over time, of course, you'll get to the point where you're really strong, and it's really cool, like coming across earlier enemies that run from you right away because you're so strong at this point. You know, there is that great progression of feeling strong, but it takes forever. What I found myself doing a lot, because skipping ahead a little bit, the music is great. It is classic Dragon Quest music. The opening theme is right there. It all, if you're familiar with Dragon Quest and all, you can see where a lot of the songs originated from, and they were there from the beginning. And it's all great. It all sounds good. But when you're listening to the quite short loop of the world map music over and over and over again, what I basically did was, during my downtime, I'd play this and I'd just put on podcasts or listen to vlogs or check out other stuff. I listen to movies I've already watched as I'm playing, but because it just allowed me to reach a sort of almost zen state where, I'm grinding, but I'm listening to something cool, I'm doing something, I'm keeping myself entertained while I'm getting the grinding done. And that's another reason I can't recommend this if you're grind heavy and all that stuff. The music is great. Any other time I was not grinding, I was listening to the music, and it all sounded really good. But, the fact that you're grinding for, I'd say, easily 80% of this game, you need to find something else to do, at least for me. The music would just get old hat by that point, because you're just listening to it constantly. And, that's really all it comes down to, is, talk to villagers, find the objects you need in order to access the Dragon Lord's castle, navigate the castle, fight the Dragon Lord, who is very difficult. I had to get myself all the way up to level 21 before I was able to fight him and defeat him, and basically had to figure out the best way to conserve my magic because he hits so hard. He would wipe me out. I'd take out some of the harder monsters and they would only be doing 10, 15 damage to me, and I get to him and he's easily clocking in at 40 at almost every hit, and I'm just hit, heal, hit, heal, hit, heal. Because you don't have a party by yourselves, you have to really balance how much you heal and hit at the same time. And it's pretty much it for the gameplay. It's classic, it's old school, and if you like that sort of thing, you'll dig it. If you cannot stand that thing, no, this isn't a game for you. This isn't worth going back at all. Probably better to start with later Dragon Quest games. The one last thing I'll talk about is the graphics. Now, of course, these are NES graphics. They're super simple, but there's two things that stood out to me right away. One is that the monster designs by Akira Toriyama are classic for a reason. So many of them are right there. The portraits for them stand out. They're inventive, they're sort of classic, but they got the simple slime, you got the really cool looking ghosts, you got the wolves that pop up that are just, have this weird little look to them. You have, armors that are just sort of empty, but they're still really strong. The dragon designs are great, the Dragon Lord is great. They really did a great job of translating his art style to the NES, and I think that was a lot of fun, just going through and see each time you get a new monster, and of course you got the recolors and everything else to them, but each time you get a brand new monster, you got something really cool to look at. The other thing that surprised me was when I rescued the princess, they actually changed the sprite of the hero, where he actually picked her up and you carry her the entire way back. It's something like that. Especially for as early as it was. It was 1986 for the Famicom version, and it didn't come to the US until 1989. So of course you had better sprites by that point, but in 1986, no, this was about as early as you could get, and it was actually kind of impressive to see their sprites change that much. And the same goes for your equipment. As you not right away, like you couldn't see the different equipment you were getting as you were playing. Instead, when you start out with no equipment and you're just walking around as a normal guy, you get a sword, you get a weapon. All of a sudden, you have a weapon on your character that you're walking around with. Armor, you always kind of have armor, so you don't really see it. You don't get to see the effect of him putting on armor. But when you get that shield, all of a sudden he has the shield on his sprite, and it's just little things like that. It's not a huge deal, but for NES, I don't know. I found that kind of impressive to see them put that much effort into it. So that's pretty much Dragon Warrior. I had a lot of fun with it, and I think anyone who has an interest or is intrigued at all by classic RPGs or just classic games in general and seeing where games came from or how they evolved would get a kick out of this. Now, of course, there's the huge caveat of grinding. If you do not want to grind a game and grinding is your least favorite part of RPGs, stay away. But otherwise, I think this is worth a look. I enjoyed it. The ending is actually pretty satisfying, seeing everything happen. They had proper credits for all the creators, and you could just feel the sense of pride to it that just really stood out. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that is all for my thoughts on Dragon Warrior for the NES. If you guys enjoyed this, please let me know. I would love to keep doing these type of things just on my off time whenever I can. And if there's any way for me to post my backlog online so that you guys can watch it as well, and maybe give me some suggestions of what I have, is like, oh, you should play this and talk about this. I'm curious about your thoughts on it. That sort of thing. Let me know, because I think this would be a lot of fun, and I don't know, I have a huge backlog, and I'd love to find a way to sort of start paring it down, maybe. Of course, GameXplain stuff comes first. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and of course, stay tuned to this channel for hopefully more backlog reviews and the upcoming Ape Escape playthrough for the Sunday night streams. So with that said, you guys have a good one, and bye.